Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here along with Rogan Smith. She's back on track. She's not having any of her pre-event jitters today. No events this weekend?
Yeah.
There's one?
Mm-hmm.
Which one?
The Elevation Awards.
Oh.
That's on Saturday. And then I have, look at Choate. Your daughter went. And then, what's that? What's that gesture?
This is my gorilla imitation.
Oh, gorilla imitation. Is that what that was?
That's what that is.
Mm-hmm. All that, 2 words.
What's
Joe
that?
Biden.
What's that? Joe.
Biden.
Go Joe. No, go Joe. What is there about Choate? It's an ad, eh?
Oh, yeah, American boarding school.
Okay. So you've recovered?
Yeah, for the most part. That was a mess, man. My mic is weak.
But pull it up. Is it up?
Yeah. Is it still bad? Still bad?
Yeah.
Then we come over here. Oh!
That's the same mic that was giving problems? Okay. Okay.
Hello?
All right.
That's better? Okay. Yeah, I was trying to be close to you, but I have to pull away.
Yeah, well, no problem, then.
Yeah.
I
I heard Jerome, though.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I heard Jerome on the show. He's so funny. He stole icon. You're still
he
on
wants to say, but what did he say? He won. I said, no, that's your spin.
he said, no, he lost.
She lost. Yeah, I said, no. You thief.
I said, way to go. There you go. I heard you. I laughed.
So, yeah, just a calm couple of days. Things are. By the way, I just want to, we got to always refer to these things. What are 2 of the most dangerous words in the Bahamian vernacular?
Well, what I said, your ma.
No.
That's what I said. I wrote a call.
And I'm going to put it in context to say in a kind of a work-related environment. But you're not going to guess it.
Sexual
I'm just
harassment?
Saying, no.
In a work.
No. We ain't down that road that
See,
far
I
yet.
could say many words, but.
Or in a working environment, in a relation, but certainly in the work relationship, in a work scenario.
2 most dangerous words.
Two of the most dangerous words. When you hear them, you just go in a mini panic.
What? Not you're fired? What?
I taught.
Oh, that's what you want a mini panic for?
When you have something to do, right? Or you ask someone to do something, and it's completely screwed up, and the person say, "But I taught." Okay. Once you hear that, Ken, that's it. Okay. Oh boy.
What happened?
No. It's just you find yourself, and this is what I do to avoid I taught, because I under the I taught avoidance. Okay. You ever did ITA? Hey?
No, sir.
You never practice ITA?
Okay.
It's called I taught avoidance. Okay.
I know what it is, but no, I've never practiced it.
So you're not certified then?
No.
You don't have a SOITA.
I do only if SOITA.
Certificate of ITA avoidance.
You're so silly.
Listen, the reason why you have to have a SOITA is because Rogan, what happened, man?
S-O?
C-O. Sorry, C-O. No, S-O. S-O is like the S-O is the French version. S-O is the Creole version. Listen.
This man don't even know.
Yeah, but you know what I said. Yeah. I just
write that down.
It's the Creole version. It's the Creole version. Like certification. Anyway.
I taught avoidance.
Mm-hmm. So listen, the thing is this: you find yourself, and you're in the working world, where you spend an inordinate amount of time in in ITA, because if you don't spend the time in the ITA, then post event you got big problems, or during the event, right?
Yeah.
Or in each scenario.
Before.
Yeah. So you figure, okay, you know what ABCD is. Okay, like I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
This is a classic example. This is classic. So I was at this insurance company once, and we had a really big filing problem.
Filing.
Mm-hmm. In those days, everything was manual files, right? So what we determined was that we would all come in on a Saturday. There was, let's say, 30 drawers. I'm just making it up. Maybe there was 100 drawers. I don't know. So what we decided, and we set it up, we had about 50 employees. everyone would get 2 drawers each, pull the drawers, put them on a desk, put a set of index cards because you had corresponding index cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that you could, if you wanted to find something, you could go to the index card first. And then what we would do is say to people, okay, here's a bunch of index cards. Write out, check the file, see if there's an index card for it. If there's not an index card for it, write one, and so everything will be in order. And then where there's an index card but not a file, take those cards and keep them aside.
Very, very
That seems basic.
cumbersome.
No, but isn't, I mean, that's in the days of manual, right? But isn't that basic? You know, here's a card, here's a file.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. Here's a card, here's no file, take the card on the side. Here's a file, no card, write a card. You got it, right, Ken? Okay. So you assume now certain things. So anyway, this one guy, and he was a fraud. I have no problem saying it. He said that, yeah, it smells like someone did
good.
when you do your hair with iron, hot iron.
Oh,
Anyway.
no, mine smells good.
Yeah.
And I always do
So he purported to be a lawyer. So you don't feel you have any problems with this brother, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's a lawyer. So anyway, the process went fast because most of the stuff was there, right? So anyway, as I was getting all the drawers back in, I noticed, you know, there's like 2 drawers missing, and its time was kind of moving on. Everyone's leaving. There's only one guy left. So I went into his office, and he had cards all over the place, files all over the place. So I said to the guy, and I'll use a name, makeup name, Orknell. I said, well, Orknell, what's happening? He said, well, yeah, I'm just trying to put this together. So I look at him. I said, well, what are you doing? He says, what do you mean? I'm doing the cards. I said, let me ask you a question. Are you doing them in alphabetical order? So this is what he said to me. Oh, is that what you wanted? This is a lawyer now. Is that that's what we're doing? I said, yeah, that's what we're doing. He says, well, you know, you should have made that clear. I said, let me ask you a question. You say you're a lawyer, right? You say, yeah. I said, well, you went to law school, right? He said, yeah. I said, you used the law library, right? He said, yeah. I said, and you just knew where the books were? I said, there was no system.
What did he say?
I mean, he was like, well, listen, you know, I don't think there's any need to ridicule me or anything. I just didn't know that it was alphabetical.
I would him, because you now stink on dirty.
Yeah, but you know, no, but I just looked at him, and I was like, you know, this is remarkable to me. So this is why I say now I learned the ITA where now if I was doing that again, I'd say, and everyone, if we could do it in alphabetical order, you know, and then I would go around to each one and check while they're doing it.
I just don't understand how he was going to put them in, though.
Well, he was a fraud. That's another. This is the brother who I told you with the hair?
No. You've told me many stories, but
okay,
not
I
the one
take pride on saying this story. So there was a guy. He worked for a company I used to work for. And this is the same brother who with the alphabetical order.
Yeah.
So right after he did that, I went suspicious on him.
Uh-huh.
Okay? Because if he's a lawyer and I got to explain to him about alphabetical order,
Uh-huh.
I figure something's awry. So I convinced at that time, he was relatively new, we got to put these announcements out to announce the new staff. And for some reason, he was very, you know, ambivalent or you know, whatever. So finally I said, listen, Orknell, we got to get the thing to the staff. So this is the first clue when he said to me. I said, well, just so give me a resume. So he says, well, yeah, I'll get that for you. So finally he didn't give me the resume. So I said, look, just tell me a couple of things and we could go forward with it. So I said, like,
an announcement in about him
and some other people
uh-huh.
joining the company, right?
But
he's in it, right?
Yeah, right.
Stuff. So finally I said, look, it isn't that complicated. Just tell me a couple of things.
Wait, what school you been to?
Yeah, a couple, okay. So when I got to him, so where did you work before? He didn't remember. Okay. So you don't remember? Okay. So do you remember your name? Let's start with that. Okay. Okay.
How you don't remember where you were?
No, it's not. Don't try to get into the head.
Oh
yes.
My God.
So he said he didn't remember. So I said, okay. So I went to my president. I said, look, we got a problem, man. I think this brother is a fraud. So anyway, we finally got his name in the paper within hours.
Y'all got calls.
People start calling about he's this, he's that, and boom, boom, boom.
Oh my. So
then I checked his.
This
I wasn't in charge of that section.
Yeah, I believe you would.
Yeah, I was. Hey, trust me, I was in charge of that section. So anyway, I then finally, I said, you know what? Let me go check this law degree on his thing. So I check it,
Story.
and it's a piece of paper basically, and like you know how they have like 4 different names, like they'll have like the provost, the president, and the dean or something like that. Well, it was all the same name. Okay, that's number 1. Okay, so Rugged Smith was all 3. Okay, so anyway, we actually went to the embassy. Does this school exist? Anyway, we found out he was a fraud, so he was dismissed. So okay, no problem. This guy now is in the insurance. He was a lawyer. He purported to be a lawyer. Next thing I know, and I have no qualms saying it, next thing I know, he's like the deputy hospital administrator. I'll just say a hospital. So I said to brother, now he got a doctor now.
I think we know.
Okay. I say he got a doctor on us now.
Oh my God.
So you know what? It was an administration position. I didn't say anything. No one else said anything. Yeah, I know.
No.
So anyway, it's
you see, but hold on now.
Yes, we were at risk. We were
y'all
at fault.
You sure were,
I agree.
because
I
had
agree,
somebody
why?
not called you guys after you put that in the paper, you would have still had that. Maybe you would have gotten rid of him, but who knows? You would have had that person.
I
in the
personally
ranks.
said something.
I would alert them.
I personally said something to someone. Okay, but I can tell you that much. So anyway, obviously after a couple of weeks, something must have happened. So they say, well, listen, y'all don't know about this brother. He must have been, let go. So anyway, I said, no problem. So I'm sitting in my office one day at the big IMB. Nobody does it better. And this brother, Ocknell, walks into my office. Now, he was from Takes. Okay, he was what I call, he was like your complexion, maybe a little more hard red, but he was about your complexion. And he had originally some hair, maybe the shade of your hair at the bottom.
This piece
Yeah,
right here.
right. So the brother walks in, but now his hair is like blonde. Okay? So he then comes out, he wants to see me. They tell me, Ocknell Brown is here to see you. So I said, okay, no problem. Because it's just now entertainment to me. So he walks in, and he's, first of all, shocking blonde. Okay? Okay? So he sits, I said, how can I help you, Ocknell? So Ocknell says to me, listen, well, I'm just wondering if you could maybe, put in a word for me. I've applied for a job here, and blah, blah, blah. So I said to him very, very calmly, I said, let me ask you a question, Ocknell. Do you think that because you're blonde, I don't recognize you? I said, you think you're incognito? I said, look, man, I can't recommend you for nowhere, okay?
I was going to say, I hope you didn't.
No. How can I? I literally had to say that. So you think I don't recognize you.
What did he say when you said?
He just, he was very. It's just, well, I don't think you need to,
what?
to carry on that way or whatever. Whatever. In other words, it was all about me.
Well, let me tell you something. That's strike 2 against you.
What's that?
The first time he tell you about the way you were acting towards him in the library.
No, but all I said to him was, do you think I don't recognize you?
No,
That's all I said. How is that bad? We'll be right back. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here along with Rogan Smith. Do you like the off-air entertainment?
Boy,
you wish you could say that, hey?
I wish. That was funny.
Our guest this afternoon, by the way, is going to be Mr. Picewell Forbes, who is, he's a member of the opposition, but he's not the leader in the House, right, for the opposition, I don't think. Or is he? I'm not sure. I'll double-check when he gets there. But Picewell, he's been in politics for quite some while. Picewell is a hometown boy. Andrus. And, he had the radio show. Mm-hmm. Very successful radio show. So I see where apparently, the water and sewage, they have some issues with management. So apparently people were going around turning off water. Mm-hmm. Is that to win over me? It's something like my boy Ocknell. Or my boy KC.
I only saw the headline in the Guardian's editorial where they were saying, inconveniencing customers is not the way to win them over. I mean, clearly.
I don't like you now.
I'm not on your side.
No.
When I remember when years ago in
during the Christmas,
Christmas time,
Christmas.
I'd be like, hold on now, don't touch my light now.
I mean, why do you think that helps me? Why do that help?
That'll help
you know what?
Case.
I really feel empathy
for the people.
While I'm in the dark for the people who are not. No.
Or the road traffic.
No,
controllers.
fire them. That's what, or the air traffic controllers, right?
this week.
Yeah.
I think it was yesterday.
$3 million in sports contracts given out pre-election. I know something about that.
Oh, yeah? What do you know?
Well, I don't know about that, but there was one thing I know about this thing with this AEG. They were on contract for many years. I don't think they produced anything. Maybe they were just, I don't know, who knows. It looks like the web shop deal is closed. That issue is closed up.
Good.
ZNet sued for pulling plug. ZNet has been hit with a $542 damages claim for terminating its satellite leasing contract 2 years early. That seems kind of complex. So, I don't these things. There was a story that I'm going to tell you off air, and hopefully I'll see it in the paper down the road.
The story I was happy to see. I mean, it's been such a very long time. I just been lingering as this Marco alert coming by July. I mean, I don't know why these things take so long.
Oh, I can tell you why.
Oh, can you tell me on air? Or you have to tell me off air.
No. I'm telling you, I'm involved with, and I said it to someone who is a very astute public servant. When you're dealing with the public service, right? You have to understand. Who was on just the other day? Was someone on that for a letter to go from you to, like you need to send me a letter, right? Okay. For that letter to come to me, first of all, that letter have to go to about 3-4 people to sign off, and then have to come back down through that process. It's just, and don't let no one be on vacation or nothing like that, because them vacations be like 6 weeks.
That's just ridiculous.
So it's just process. There's too many people in the process that don't need to be in the process.
This is overdue, long overdue, and the child, the what do you call it, the sex offenders list.
Act, yeah.
I mean, where are we with that?
I query this. This is because we're on the radio. We talk about this. So where would you live? Because
I don't know where you'd live. But I need to be alerted to where you live.
Yeah, because basically you live in Nassau. So
unless there's an area that's designated
maybe we could
for
designate like Key Sal or something like that.
Seriously.
But the other part of that is this.
Scary because I don't know who's living next to me.
The other thing it's always with these offenses is if something is not true. That's why I go with the sodium pentothal. I go with that. I go with that. Because you know what, Rogan Smith? You wouldn't want someone accusing you of something you didn't do, right? You would love to be able to take something and prove your innocence, wouldn't you? Without a doubt. Because even when you get accused, even if you go through a trial, yeah, but Rogan, she looked a little freaky. You see that hairstyle? I don't trust her. No. Don't trust her around your children.
I mean, that's the risk we run every single day, and I certainly don't want anybody. I mean, even if it's murder and somebody's accused of murder,
and then you get life sentence or a death sentence,
or a death penalty.
That's why I go with the sodium.
Anything, but there are some things where there's no denying Ed Fields did it.
No, well,
there's no denying
that Rogan Smith did it. He did it. Rogan Smith, you see how she looked? She's a guilty woman.
And so
Rogan Smith,
we need to know where Ed Fields lives.
And Rogan Smith, if she live in the Bahamas, move to Alaska because she can reach it. Anyway, but you know what I'm saying though, right? Why can't we, with all this technology we have, Ken? We got a lot of technology. Get past this archaic system of 12 people guessing. And by the way, not only are they guessing, a couple of them, because I've been on some juries, will you see? Let me tell you something. See, that's some other scary words. Will you see? Let me tell you something. Okay? Because someone said that to me. If he wasn't guilty, would he do it here?
Let me do something.
Okay?
You've been
saying let me tell you something.
Hold on. No. I'm agreeing with you, right? So, Kendrick, he's been saying this from like year one, right? Yeah. And I used to just like roll my eyes, right? And then I met someone.
Did you catch yourself, eh?
No, I met someone, and we were talking about, this is a woman, and I was overhearing her talk about, if I were on that jury, you see how his hair is? I said, what the?
So listen, let me ask you a question. What's the moral of the story?
The moral of the story is you were right.
Listen to Ed Fields.
You were right.
Okay.
On
everything.
No, okay. On that point you were so. I said, excuse me. So you'd convict somebody?
Yes,
she say, you see how his display hair is?
You know he's guilty of something. Listen, I was on two juries. I told you this.
You see how this boy
hair is. And this has gave me a lifetime fear. Okay? One jury was when the guy said, look, man, If he, you know, look where I here and he there. Okay? And you hear this now, Mr. College. I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God. Oh God.
You didn't say, and you could easily be over there?
I was just, oh my God. You know what I did? I'm going to go talk to the judge.
Oh, did you?
Oh, yeah.
You should.
Of
I'm
course.
so happy you did.
Of course. I said to the judge, we got a problem.
Yeah. This place is
Okay?
yeah.
We got a situation where your boy gay, well, it's a matter of, well, the mere fact, and that was word, the mere fact.
F-A-C-K.
F-A-C.
No, the
It's so
wrong.
fuck. It ain't no cuck. Okay? The mere fact that he there. That's it. Because I thought, Now, meanwhile, I could see your boy get beat down. Now, having said that.
Right.
Okay, now having said that, there was another case where the fellow said, look here, man. And that time we eating some lobster because that's the lunch. If he ain't guilty of this, he guilty of something.
Yeah.
Okay. Another trip to the judge. Okay. Okay. I was out Rogan Smith. I was a reporter at the time, right? I was so scared. I told you this, right? I went back to my office at The Guardian, and I typed up a letter. I think I still have it on file. I typed up a letter saying that under no circumstances, if I'm charged with anything and brought before a jury, that my confession was not forced. And to prove that it was not forced, I will sign it in this way. So I used a fake signature. And I put that like in a safe for a couple other people just in case.
I'd confess to anything if I'm being beaten.
Well, I'm going to confess as soon as they think I'm getting beaten. You know
If
me?
you come in with the phone books or whatever you're coming in with, and then when I go to court, I will tell them they beat me.
Yeah, but I have a memo to file on that. Okay. So I was so panicked. I was so panicked about the system. So one time I was on the jury, and I really didn't want to be on the jury. And I hope I'm not letting a secret out, because if it is, then it'll be no more strategy. So when they were selecting, they do when they select who could be on the jury.
Yeah.
The prosecution.
Oh, you do all the gestures and all that
No,
stuff?
I didn't do any gestures. I raised my hand.
What did they ask you?
Yes. So I said. In fact, I think I'm not sure. I want to say Vincent Pete was a lawyer or the prosecutor at the time, and then there was another judge. I don't remember. So afterwards, when I knew I was going to get picked, I raised my hand. I said, Your Honor, may I make a comment? And they said, yeah. I said, I have a question. I said, let me understand this. If you have a reasonable doubt, you have to vote not guilty, right? Mm-hmm. And he said, yes. I said, well, I doubt the whole system. What the prosecutor said? The prosecutor said, no, challenge.
Challenge. Get him out of here. Get him out of here.
Oh yeah, I'm freaked out by that stuff, man. Rogan, in 2000 and what are we at 19? Mm-hmm. We have to come up with a better way than he just don't like how Rogan look.
You see here?
In fact, you see that one over there. He ain't even got no hair, so you know how them bald head people go.
You see here?
Yeah, man. So it's
How many times have you sat on a jury?
Twice.
Ken, you've done jury before? Okay, me neither.
There's a way to avoid jury.
Don't vote.
But I'm not going to do that.
But I already been in the system.
Yeah. So it's a scary thing, man. And I just think that I think there are too many people who have a vested interest in the system to change the system. Because think about this: if you had a system, right? Because you could hypnotize, so there's many things you could do to get people to tell the truth. Okay? If you had a system that was foolproof, lawyers out of business, bailiff gone, stenographer gone, a lot of people gone. Wardens, a whole lot of people would be gone because we don't need that kind of process anymore.
You know something, I just even thinking about everything we're talking about, I would hope that anybody who's sitting on a jury or about to sit on a jury, that they honestly would not just be judging somebody off of where they're from, what their hair looks like, this is just focus on the facts of the case.
I agree with you.
I've sat in courts, covering court, and seen people walk in to testify who you would think my God, let me sit up and see what this one about, right? And heard the most well-spoken people who seem like credible witnesses and stuff. But, your own little biases, you know, have already been set in. But when you're talking about somebody's life on the line or their freedom on the line.
I agree with you, Rogan Smith, right? I agree with you 100%, right?
I ain't fooling around them people.
I agree with you 100%, right? Except for the puff.
Man, listen, I don't like the puff, or would you call them fingerlings and all that stuff that you say was hanging on the back of the hair, right?
See, this is what I'm thinking.
I don't like them,
if you are going to court, your lawyer should be saying to you, shave the puff.
But is the person guilty because they have a puff?
That's what your friends say. Look how you look.
See, I had no good.
Why go to court with the puff?
And if I were ever on a jury pool in a jury pool with her, I would be going to the judge.
Go to court in a suit with your head neatly shaved, no puff. Make sure not one hair out of place, because if you have a puff, you're in danger. We'll be right back. Our guest is Spiceworld Forbes, and we'll be talking about his role as an opposition member. And we'll have a lot of fun with it. We'll be right there. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields heralding along with Rogan Smith, the bride of the Road Warriors. You got it good,
I need to write this story down.
You have it good,
Shut up.
And people know this. Anytime they see you, they can envision you in some sort of post-apocalyptic mini skirt. Probably something with some chains.
I guess surviving.
And cleavage, and you hanging next to you're the girlfriend of Methuselah or something like that.
Every time you describe this man, I swear.
Yeah, Methuselah, he pops his eye in and out, depending on the occasion. Okay.
On what occasion would he take it out?
I don't know. Just maybe. Well, he definitely puts it in to talk to the people.
No, I would think he'd take it out.
No, to talk to the people, he wants to present himself in a certain light. But when he comes to bed, Queen Methuselah, pop that out.
No.
And then he give you a little, like I say, he always gives you, next thing you know, you see a little Weston.
Weston?
From the hotel.
What is that? Oh, the soap.
And the name is really soap is shampoo, but you could use it as soap.
Okay.
Okay? Something that smells good. Oh, yeah. Listen, you want to talk about our man.
Your friend Joe Biden.
Yeah.
I guess he'll probably be making some announcement pretty soon.
Did.
Oh, he did?
Oh, you mean about the function?
About if he's going to run for 2020.
I don't know. He didn't know. He made an announcement.
No, so he, obviously, some women have stepped forward saying that he had been inappropriate with them, smelling their hair and kissing them on the head, that sort of thing. Why you shake your head?
I'm shaking my head.
That is inappropriate.
Listen, I saw one woman. She literally was on TV, and she made this statement. And she says, well, he came and he had my hand on his shoulder, and before you knew it, his hand was on my waist. Your waist?
Yes, that is inappropriate. I had a boss hold my face like this, a male boss, and kiss me on the cheek.
Yeah, that's a little more direct than...
First, I'm a grown woman.
Listen, stand up. We're going to do a demonstration.
Oh, my God, this is so... That's so inappropriate.
Yeah, stand up, please.
I'm standing.
Okay, come over here, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we're doing a Joe Biden on the air. No, I'm not doing the old boss thing. That's inappropriate. So he's standing here and he's saying, "Hey Ken, this is Rogan. She's a good friend of mine."
I don't like your hand there.
Okay, where was my hand?
Right there.
It was on your back.
That wasn't even to my waist.
Okay,
yet.
so let me ask you. So you feel
creepy.
One other thing. Let me do this because this is off the air. So what's happening? So,
did they hear them on the air when they slapped you?
So here's the deal. It's got to be a line somewhere, Rogan Smith. Come on.
Yes, there has to be a line.
Now, if you want to say, okay, this is the new line, and no one else can do that, fine. Because it would be like saying, like the not Gail Saunders, Gail, what her name is? King was on the radio, and with the woman named, the other woman, Nora O'Donnell, and said, I have a male friend who just became the CEO of a company.
Yeah.
And he told me he is not having lunch or anything with any woman.
Yes, and I don't blame him.
So, but you know who that hurts? The woman. Because the reality is now he's going to go to, when he wants to talk with colleagues or talk strategy over lunch, he's not going to take a woman.
He needs to carry somebody else with him to protect himself. When I was in school and I had to see a doctor, a male doctor, this had never happened to me before. The male doctor walked in and he was going to see me, of course, without my clothes.
In the booth?
In the booth.
Okay.
And here comes Nurse Betty White coming in. And
I said, the woman off the golden thing?
I'm just saying, here comes the nurse coming behind him.
Okay. Right.
And he says, okay, he tells her close the door. I said, why is she here? He says, oh, she's here to protect me and to protect you.
Because you know how y'all go.
And I said, is this what you do? Now, first of all, I was uncomfortable because I'm accustomed to just being in there with my doctor. Now I got to expose myself to the doctor and this person. And I said, oh, okay, you know what? Later on, it hit me. And so in that scenario, yes, it's unfortunate, but to protect that man
he ain't
and
fooling
to
with
protect
that.
her,
I ain't going to lunch. I ain't going to lunch.
Have them both.
I haven't both. I ain't going to lunch with none of
Or Skype in or something like that.
I ain't going to lunch with none of y'all.
Skype it.
I ain't going. No
But
Skype. I don't like, because next thing you know, you can say on Skype, you see that what he did with his lip?
Record it.
What's that?
Is
that a lewd lip?
Samantha from Bewitched.
Is that a lewd lip? Lewd lip? LL? So, okay. Listen, we're going to the absurd now.
Listen to me. There are some things that men do. We joke around and hear all the time. I have male friends. It's not a big deal, a lot of stuff, right? But then there are people who take it there, who just go in a way. It's a personality.
I know that, but what I'm saying to you is this. Here's what I'm saying, and this is very important, and I agree. I'm not disagreeing with uncomfortableness, okay? But if at the time I'm a guy who is, let's just say, affectionate. I wouldn't even say affectionate. Let's say tactile.
Okay.
Okay? So I put my hand on your shoulders, whether it's Ken, whether it's you, I put my hand on the shoulder. Now, at that moment, if you're uncomfortable, you know what? Just say I'm uncomfortable with it. Just say it. No, let me hear me out. Because you know what? Coming back 14 years later to say, I didn't like how Joe put his hand on my waist. It's a little kind of over the top. If what Joe needs to know at the moment is, Joe, I am uncomfortable. Okay, let me make you aware that I'm uncomfortable. So you don't do it again to me, and maybe you don't do it again to women. Period.
Mr. Fields, why is the onus on the woman to have to tell
because
you
she's
to be
the one feeling
uncomfortable?
because
no,
because
the
we've
onus
gone.
Should be on the. Hold on, the onus should be on the male not to touch this woman. Period. Because why are you touching them? Listen to me. Just hear me out on this, right? It sounds so easy to say on the radio. Oh, why don't you just tell the guy in that moment, right? I told you about a boss who cupped my face and kissed me on the cheek. That is hard then to now, and that's now I backed away.
Yeah, to me that is no, but to me that is definitely over the line.
Okay, but.
So
I
like, you know what?
But
I tell
it's
you
hard
what,
to
shaking
say
your head. You know what?
Don't kiss my face. That's inappropriate.
Listen, many years ago, I met Joe. He shook my hand. I don't like how he held my hand. I mean, where does it end next?
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
Why are we shaking hands?
There are people who, you call them, they're running out, right? You have people who run out, right? But there are men legitimately who, they know what they're doing. I have a large breasts, okay? So keep your hand from this area. You have to be very careful about this area.
Okay, but your waist is not a large waist. You have a very large waist.
Why do you have to put your arm around my waist?
All I'm saying to you is this. Let me, because we got a guest, as you know, coming in. Let me just say this to you. I am not defending any sort of inappropriate behavior. You know that. What I'm concerned about is how far do we... These three women, apparently, because there's three women now, said, oh, yeah, they would vote for him. So, it's not even... It doesn't even match up, right? I mean, you're so repulsed by this or felt... what's going on? I just don't know what's going on. Now...
Were they repulsed or were they just saying he did this and I felt it was inappropriate, but you know what, he's a good guy. So, I mean, it's possible for someone to say I'd vote for him, but But
why are you saying? Why? Tell me why you're saying it. Because if you think he's a good guy and all that, and you know his intent not to be bad, why are you saying it? It's just not. It doesn't flow to me. What's it? Is it to get on TV? I don't know what it is. Because certainly that's not an assault. Is that an assault? Would you consider that a sexual assault?
I wouldn't consider it sexual assault, but it's not for me to say to someone that something is inappropriate. Just like how I could say something to you and say, why are you being sensitive about that? And you'd be like, I'm on the receiving end of that. So you don't tell me how I should feel.
By the way, you're right. But that's why I say to you, it is not just a woman. It is the person who's on the receiving end. It could be male or woman to say, listen, I'm not comfortable with that. Some people, how some people say, listen, I'm comfortable with you getting close to me. I'm uncomfortable with invasion of space, because some people are close talkers.
Yes, I don't like that. I always back
and
up.
so you say, I'm not comfortable with that. You don't wait 15 years later and say, 15 years ago he was like 3 inches from my face.
Do you remember the individual I told you when I was to the fast food eatery? He spanked my bottom, and I punched him right then and there.
Yeah, but this is very clear.
So that's clear. Yeah. So if he runs for any office or whatever, that's coming up.
Yeah, okay. But let me ask you. Did you tell me who it was?
In the moment. Yeah, I told you.
I got to tell you again. But listen, there's some scenarios, and let me go with the scenarios. P.
Pardon?
V. B. Or A.
What's that?
P, male. V, female.
Oh, that.
B, female. And A, male or female.
Mm.
Just stay away from there. I think if I touch your knee, I don't think you can freak out a little bit. We'll be back. We got Picewell Falls on there.
Don't touch nothing.
You can touch my instep. That's it. Okay?
You better get from around here.
Get from around here.
We're discussing the appropriate body parts to touch.
And while I was talking to her, she touched the space between my hand and my forearm, which is known as the wrist. And I was taken aback.
You felt violated?
In fact, I'm not even going to wash this hand because I can use this for evidence.
Where was your left buttock?
I think it was on your shoulder, eh? That's because I was sitting. Okay. I was sitting down.
So why were you sitting so closely to me on my chair?
We were trying to deal with the issues of space, the final frontier.
You decided to sit on my shoulder.
All right. Listen, our guest this afternoon is the leader of business. You got to give me the right thing, but the leader of opposition business in the House of Assembly. Is that the right title, sir?
Yeah,
Well, let me give him the right title. It's the hometown boy.
Yeah, you don't get much money for it, So. I told someone the other day, the worst thing in government for the fellas who are now complaining on the back bench is better than any day in opposition. So I tell them don't complain. I've been through it twice,
Well, look here. Listen, I got to ask you a question because there are people like Picewell Forbes who he's of us, right, in terms of the radio world and all that. So you can ask, because a lot of fellas out there stiff, you don't want to.
Right.
See, he doesn't lose the tie. You see what he did? You say, okay, we're here now.
Yay.
So I got to ask you this question, Picewell Forbes, in the most lighthearted way possible.
And be honest.
When you saw.
Why you didn't start laughing?
I think my daughter laughed. Faisal is now listening.
When you saw the results coming in
for the last election.
Oh Lord, I don't know why this is so humorous. And you saw, okay, so we got 4.
Boy,
what was your immediate feeling?
Well, at least he was in the 4.
The good feeling is God is good. At least I'm in the 4.
Yeah.
I was in fresh.
But isn't that kind of a case too?
There's a lot of pressure.
Because I think a lot of people who wasn't in the 4 would say, "Thank you, Jesus."
It's pressure, but it's kudos too. Right.
Surviving the process.
Yeah.
I got a call from a noted friend of mine, a prominent bishop, who said to me, it may only be you one left. So I was in Fresh Creek that evening at Brigadier's in Small Hope with my wife and my daughter. Mm-hmm. And it's not a good feeling at all when you hear the results that are coming in. And you had people in mind. We kind of knew going into the election that things were going to be tight. Mm-hmm. We saw the signs in New Providence when you saw the cars and the flags and everything else. And even the rally numbers had some little signs, but you saw some things that picked up in the last couple of days.
Because you always have that hope.
Yeah, you have that hope. And so when the results started coming in, you said, okay, but you had in mind, you said, okay, people like Fred. Let's be honest now. You said Jerome.
Right.
You said Kayla's Roll. You had Alcides. He said maybe Hope and Melanie and Glennis for sure, and Alfred says. So he's counting them in it.
Wait, you were counting Jerome Fitzgerald to win?
Yeah, I was counting Jerome to win.
Really?
No, but I got to be honest. I mean, I just say from what I knew. But don't forget, I'm only here and I'm going back to my constituency in Andros, so I'm not getting into all the nuances and the weeds and everything and down. So I think I'm hitting and I'm going back to drive in my doggone seat. So that's what it is. And so when you hear the numbers that are coming in, you say, wow. Then Leslie Miller. I mean, come on. Shane Gibson. I mean, let's be honest. These are the fellows who you expect to win. So you're saying to yourself, okay, you get 14, 15 in Nassau. Then we can ride out between Grand Bahama. Obi win Grand Bahama. We'll win Exuma. You said we win 2 and a half. Just so you win by, you say, but 22, 23.
The numbers game.
Yes, that's what you're doing. That's what politics is all about.
And the former prime minister.
Well, right. How can I forget that? Right, yeah. So you even and then BJ, my mentor.
BJ,
So you automatically counted those. So when you look at the numbers, you're saying this is a big guy. Now, how could we really lose this? In all honesty. So you said we should at least get about 22. Because when I first came in 2007, former Prime Minister Ingham, a very good friend of mine, he got 23 and we got 18. So you had a pretty good balance across the floor. There's a lot of equity in the discussions, and so you had some fun there, and pop at those moments, but the whole fact, when did that even you sat there at the end of the day, man, and when you come into the airport, fellas say, boy, hometown, you're like a celebrity, you didn't feel so bad at the end of the day. But it's not a good feeling at all.
Well, I know the feeling. They can tell you from Key Club.
They set him up. They were voting for him. And
nothing happened. That's not a good feeling.
17 to 3.
That's as bad as the PLP. Good evening, Mr. Christie.
So anyway, the bottom line is, you've been in this now for how long?
I'm in my 3rd term consecutively, and I got to say good evening to your brother-in-law, my good friend Oichi Tommy Tank was a good friend of mine once again, and that it's been a fun period for me. It's been a transitioning from the broadcaster and others, for 24 years, and hosting the morning show and doing what I call the first real open line talk show, Speak Up at Night, 12 o'clock, upon my return from school in Jamaica and everything else, and watching the Barbara Gludons and the Mutty Perkins and the Ronnie Thwaites in Jamaica, and coming back and asking for an open line talk show in a meaningful way. And then, what happened in 1992, there was a change of government, and then you had the former Prime Minister Ingham opening the airways by 94, 95, and then the Tribune Network and all the others, Wendell Jones coming on stream by 95, 96. Then the whole media process, there's a revolution in the whole media process, especially on hard media in the Bahamas. And so, for me, it's just been a great process. And now you look at it and you become a senior person in no time. Me and the Prime Minister, we were sworn in the very same day in 2007. So, when you look at it, there are only 2 persons who really have been there long enough.
Usually what they call a veteran parliamentarian.
Yeah.
But listen, in all seriousness, we've seen a scenario in the last, 25 years. 25 years. You had the PLP in power for 25 years, 92. FNM, 10 years. And from that point on, it was every 5 years. How hard, I'm involved with some local government stuff now, which I might touch on, but how hard is that to be in a scenario where the expectation of the electorate is so difficult that you might actually be, as a veteran politician, on a roller coaster forever because they're going to just boot you out if you don't succeed from day one?
The challenge you have is that for the present administration, you made so many promises.
But they all make promises.
But I think what has also happened here, the challenge for this administration more than anything else, was that, for one, there was a presumption of real surprise that they would have won the elections, because what happened in 2016, the whole thing with Loretta going, and then the whole process, what happened there, the debacle, and she becoming leader of the loyal opposition, and then the present Prime Minister virtually, I almost want to say absconding for almost 6 months, just campaigning, which he did, which is a very good job at, and eventually winning. There's a lot of things that persons can note that with the winning process, but at the end, the FNM is the government, and I support the government because this is my country at the end of the day. But the reality is that you make a whole litany of promises, and I listened to your newscast, most importantly, most pronounced, just moments ago, about free education, which the Prime Minister announced just a couple of days ago in Parliament again. And lo and behold, one of the government senators who's employed by the University of the Bahamas don't even know about the proposed increase in student tuition fees. Yeah. And so these are the promises. You're saying one thing on one side of your mouth, and these young people who voted for you overwhelmingly are now totally immersed in total disbelief and disappointment because
when you have it, and this is what confuses me. So it was announced that by a certain year, I think it's this year or September this year, there'll be free tuition to the University of the Bahamas, I guess, for a certain grade. What is?
No, it wasn't no certain grade.
It can't be if you have an F, you go.
That was not.
I can show you. I can show you where it said it. I can show you where it said it. But let's not argue about that.
But that's given.
That's a given.
But that's been going on for a little while.
No, but that's. But
you have the 5 BGCSEs. You've been given the grant for a little while. That's been going on for a little while.
There's something that I don't have the research. I don't have any research. But the bottom line is,
you have the 5 BGCSEs.
There was something that says that if you do X, you meet a certain standard, you get free tuition. So if that was a promise and that is now happening, why would not be, just out of interest, welcomed by all? Yeah, well, why would there be a state or a cloud of confusion? Look, if I say to you, Picewell Forbes, when you come here, I can give you a bottle of water.
Right.
When you come.
Which you did, I didn't get any coffee.
Yeah, no, I didn't promise you no coffee.
You said bring my own.
In fact, yes. I didn't even offer you any or promise you any beverage.
No, you did not.
The water was a surprise present for you. Okay.
And I accept, which is good for you.
All right. But so when
there's certain entry requirements.
Yeah, it has to be. You can't give a guy with a D. First of all, you got to be able to get in. But the thing is, here's the deal. Because this is actually a classic example about what I want to ask you. Why, when it comes to certain things, okay, we can't seem to have agreement that it's a good thing? Like, again, if we want to say to everyone, we're going to give everyone a free bottle of water every day, knowing that you need to be hydrated.
Why oppose that?
What would be the issue with something like that for the opposition to be able to say, well, we applaud the fact that everyone's getting a free bottle of water a day?
I think we've gone above and beyond. We've been, I would say, virtually compliant or supportive of the present administration more than you have seen in any recent years when it comes to government versus the Majesty's loyal opposition. 67% of the legislation that has been passed have been supported by us on our side.
Okay.
No longer than yesterday.
All right.
When the government asked and called me, the government leader, Honorable Brendan Wells, called me on Tuesday afternoon and said to me, Soka, we no longer going to do...
What do you call you?
Soka. Those who know me way back.
That's your nickname.
But I mean...
You can't be a hometown boy and be Soka, though. You have to drop that.
I accepted the hometown Iconium after... In Iconium, I returned from school and I saw what they said about us not having a culture, and I decided I'm going to go strictly down home. And that's where it came. And so the fact of the matter is, let me get back to this point. Yeah. He called me and said, we're going to have we have to go through a process where we'll have to go back on the agenda. I want to speak with the leader so that we have no longer want to go forward with the immigration and asylum agenda yesterday. Right. So therefore we want to go back to the international lending financial agency bill, what have you. And so the Prime Minister will present and the Deputy Prime Minister, so and so how many speakers you have. I said, no problem. I said, contact the leader. We spoke, but we'll go along with this process. Yesterday the House was supposed to have been done by by 2:00. And you know what, there are always going to be some people there's going to be some level of conjecture, which did happen. But we supported at the end of the day. So I'm saying to you that we have been very supportive on most things. My thing is that what happens is that so many promises have been made over the years by the present administration. And so with our limited numbers, we've got to, man, how I feel about the adoring press, and a lot of things have been happening in the press. I think the administration have not been accountable for. But at the end of the day, we only could talk for so long as, like former Prime Minister England used to say, the minority would have its say, but the majority would have its way. And I think we've been more than supportive, because anytime he calls me, I have a basic problem with the format that we use to go to Parliament on Wednesday. And I think I said it to my side when we were in government. Now that we're in opposition, I feel strongly about it again.
What's that?
The cabinet meets on Tuesday, like Rogan would know. And they set the agenda, which is the executive arm of government, for the legislature on Wednesday. It's counterproductive. In Barbados, generally they meet on Thursday or Monday.
The House of Assembly?
Yes,
or the
because
cabinet?
if you are going to meet, and if the cabinet meets on Monday, at least by Monday evening by 6, you could kind of know what you're going to look at on Wednesday in halls of Parliament. Members get a chance to kind of prepare themselves, at least in a cursory kind of way, and they're prepared to discuss things in Parliament. But if you coming out, the cabinet is coming out. I've sat through this. Where you sit down in the Churchill building, Rogan knows the building down there. You sitting down there waiting for cabinet to come out. When the cabinet comes out, half of the cabinet leaves. And the backbenchers coming in, so you don't ever really get the full edification of the discussion.
Well, why can't they just be a week behind? Like, in other words, what you do for cabinet this week is the agenda for next week in Parliament.
But sometimes there are exigencies. Yesterday the legislature, for example, the EU stroke the OECD bill, for example, on financial matters, or something that we must deal with. This whole issue of blacklisting, it doesn't help any of us. What I don't like about it, we used to call it banking years ago. It's now financial services. And all this, the big boys just continue to veil our skin in this post-colonial world. And I don't care what no one say. It's all little foolishness. Man, I think is at the end of the day, how are we going to survive? We have services and we have limited goods. And that's what we really use our services. Well, they come here and people want to come here, want to be a part of our society. We give them certain, we have certain exemptions and what have you, and they want to be a part of us. But you could do all this. If they want to take the brightest and best out of our area, brain drain. Once you go in north, it's fine. And when someone want to come this way, is a problem. Man, that's real talk, man.
But listen, it's interesting. You understand
where I'm going with that,
I understand what you're going, but let me tell you what I'm saying.
But that's fine.
It is a big boy, small boy deal. That's just the way it is, right? But also, it's interesting because there are things we do in terms of the outside world that they see egregious. Now, one of the things that I found interesting, and I didn't really think of it, and it's really sad that I didn't think of it this way because I'm not in the financial services sector, but still with I should have had a bigger picture look. And that is, this thing is going to go away at some point.
Which one is
the financial services sector? It's going to diminish more and more every year. Right. Listen, Picewell, when we were in the newspapers, working with the newspapers in the 80s, 70s, bank secrecy, things we don't even hear about anymore, tax havens, you dare not use that term anymore. That was the flavor of the day. Okay, I have friends who were trust company officers and all these professions. Okay, they're gone. And what we need to do as a country is to work together to find how we can exploit other areas because it will be gone. But as Carl Bethel put it, and I'm sure you would agree, the government of the Bahamas, no matter who it is, has to work hard to maintain for as long as possible that sector because those are middle class jobs. And we have to protect people for as long as we can. You can't just say back, oh, sorry, that gone. Go grow some yam or something like that. So it's a very difficult thing.
It's a very difficult thing, and also what we need to do I think we need to also call on what I call people who make up the Bahamian diaspora in the UK and the European and also the markets in North America, Canada, and also the USA. The days when someone had to jump on the plane and be a consultant, those days are virtually gone. They could give all the information now. They can be a part of what you're doing in no small way. So it doesn't have to come to someone in the AG's office no longer. And that's why I had a problem with the note that the Prime Minister made, the intervention he made about not paying anybody over $100,000. If I'm going to ask a bright, intelligent Bahamian, a member of the intelligentsia or the financial services sector, for example, in America, who's at Columbia or some on Wall Street somewhere, to come back and be a part of us or make a contribution to our financial services sector, like how we would have had in the PLB's time, like a Ryan Pinder, for example, who was good on the regulatory regime, and you bring this person back home. Person is working over there and making maybe about $300,000-$400,000. I mean, base salary. Right. So now you ask a Bahamian now who's
capped at $100,000.
Right, at $100,000. That's counterproductive. Yeah. So I'm saying, and I don't, and what I like is, I'm the kind of fella, something like you. You ain't gotta answer this. I don't like sit down long. I get bored. So I don't need nobody be over my shoulder. If you come to work in the morning 9 to 12 and you get to work, John, have a nice day. You go fishing like I want to go fishing on the rock. And see, for me, I'm a real fella. I'm a down home fella. So once you can come and knock out what we got to knock out.
Yeah.
We be on British Airways Sunday night to London. From there we going to Brussels. We're going to meet the Bahamian team and we're going to do so and so. And from there we need to have so and so done. This is what we need. The OECD said we need this to be compliant. We need so and so and so. You know what you got to do. Oh, and I have a friend in New York who's done this already at Cornell University. This and that. Collate this stuff. Bam, bam, bam. The Bahamas. That's what I'm talking about. But to have this thing where We got to go through this old kind of regimented process where, well, we need you to be domiciled in the Bahamas. You got to come back home, find house, put the children in Queen's College.
Listen, let me ask you a question. You say, so all right, let's look at that, what you said, in a more concise way. We seem to have several obstacles that, in my view, and I've been working over the last 7 years with a thing called the Downtown NASA Partnership, and I don't get into the public domain about this because it's not worth it.
It's looking a little better. I like your painting and all that. I like it.
But besides
let me stop you from that, please. And you know, my house is in the color corner right down the road. I gotta find a couple of. Hi, Mom, I know you celebrate and stuff. And so my thing is that. And it's do by Candy Kitchen on the wall. I see the painting through the corner by Lewis Street. That made me feel good.
Yeah. They're going to do something by the Candy Kitchen.
I like that, man.
But listen, even more so than that, what people don't realize is we're at the 95-yard line now. Okay, but they don't know the stuff that you have to do to get to the 95-yard line, and that stuff isn't visual. That's groundwork, what do you call it? Grunt work, where you're trying to get a piece of paper through 15 different offices, et cetera, something that should, maybe in my mind, sometimes take no more than a week. So the question I'm asking you...
So you're saying get rid of all these voice assistant and trade assistant permanent secretaries?
Listen.
Are you saying fire people in the public service or what?
Principal Forbes, I'm not the politician. I can put it on you.
Rogan, I think had I been in a different position as the minister, you would put that to me. I can put it on him.
I can put it on you. No, I can put it on you.
See that big guy? Big guy, you put it on him.
I can see
you got to go and have dinner with them.
I can see how real. I can see how real.
You got to have dinner with them later on.
You know he's doing that.
I got to know what it is.
You know he's doing that. He is avoiding the question in a down-home way. Let me say this to you. I'm going to put this to you. We have in my view, listen, you worked in the public service. That's ZNS was the public service, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Quasi.
Yeah. But you had to go through the same process, right?
Yeah. Doesn't change.
How in the world, Mr. Forbes, Mr. Down-home man of the people, change that culture to the extent that we, progress the country so much that those who are fearful of losing essentially guaranteed jobs can then be absorbed by the private sector because of the economic expansion. How do we do that without the political, I don't know what to call it, Rogan, just the political toxicity of changing the system? Because once one do it, the other one can jump up and say, "Yeah, you see, they're trying to take your job," right. Or the fact that people who were in there in the first place are only there because of politics. How are we going to break that down?
What you're talking about is something that Alfred Sears has been espousing for many years, and also Vincent van der Poel is a more recent example of it when he spoke about it when he was in the Senate. When he asked for full autonomy for the Ministry of Tourism to be a fully autonomous body. Remember that, Rogan, some time ago? And he just got frustrated with the whole process. And
can't get a check signed to pay to advertise this.
But I still won't win my seat next time, so leave that alone. So, but it is real. I mean, don't forget, if you come with a ZNS, when I became DGM, me and Michelle were some of the younger people at that time in the corporation, got senior positions, and you get there, and you got to go to Eleuthero like Thursday or Friday. You go to ZNS. You sign this thing, Anthony Foster. Boom. Go to accounts. You ready? You on the plane. He got in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. That's whole bureaucracy, and that's totally different.
You got to go to cabinet.
And then you got to go. You go into Guyana in 2 days. This I go to cabinet. They got signed. And it says still up by the Treasury here. So I can't talk. There's some of them my friends now. But the reality, like what you're saying is that government has to now. That's why I don't see why I don't want to. So many things happen in my head. My thing is that I don't know why. I don't know what you can say if you. I don't know why. I don't know why young people want to have what I call a government job. Why a young person like Rogan wouldn't want to have a good government contract? If I'm a minister tomorrow, Rogan comes to see me. I see she has some value. She brings up new. She understands what price. I want to get things done. I want this process to be expedited. I want to pay her $100,000, Ed, so that I can get the thing knocked out and get it done. If she comes in, I got to pay her $22,000 with a master's degree in the system. And she gets there, and she gets bogged down. When she is on a contract...
You can pay $100,000 and she get bogged down.
No, not the Rogan.
No, because the other people will undermine her.
No, That happens.
Yeah.
But also, but what I'm saying, what you're saying now is that we have to find a way where we allow the government has got to be, no matter sometimes what the fallout might take, what fallout might occur, to take some bold steps and
Yes.
some bold initiative and say, man, look, we're going in this direction.
Yeah.
The Bahamas are still too small. When you look at the level of internet connectivity, they'll still be doing a lot of things manually.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest about it. The lines down at the passport.
Mm-hmm.
My good friend Minister Henry, that shouldn't be happening at this stage, man. I mean, the average person I got 2 young, they ain't much on them. But the average person got 2 and 3 phones. We heading the different, but you've got to now take some bold steps. And these ministries and these entrenched departments wouldn't want to move. You got to decide as a minister, okay, we're going to develop then an agency within the department where I'm going to use so and so and so, coupled with so and so to make some things happen. But at the end of the day, you've got to pull some people and some processes along. If not, you're not going to have any change. Because
we got to take a break. You know that. That's radio stuff.
Yeah.
We can take a break, and then we'll come back.
Yeah.
Ed Fields here, along with Picewell Forbes, who is the leader of the opposition in the House of Assembly for the Progressive Liberal Party. And as I was saying to you, Picewell Forbes, I mean, look, you got a hamster wheel, okay? This thing called government. There's a lot of spinning of tires. Sooner or later, someone has to put their finger into the wheel for someone to get off and go in a different direction. We have to get to a certain place, sir. Now, look, let me use my boy. We ain't in no formality here. Use my boy. What days pay you in the House Assembly?
$28,000 a year.
Okay, all right. Now, you have to be prepared, Picewell Forbes, to sacrifice $28,000 because it ain't like it's a $300,000 job. Okay? Now, I'm talking to you now. No one else here except me and you. Rogan, she's doing her internet. Okay? Okay? I'm saying to you, Picewell Forbes, that you have to be prepared to lose your $28,000 job, which, by the way, because you have a constituency, that's only around about $19. By the time you give this one there, this distinction,
you know how the thing goes.
Okay, so until that happens, there's no change. Because when someone like a Picewell Forbes can jump off the hamster wheel and say and give comfort to the government, or vice versa, that we are going to change this thing without you using it as leverage for politics, but we are going to do this together to make change, then nothing's going to happen.
I totally agree, and that's why, even for example, when it comes to the increase of salaries of politicians, persons make all these incendiary comments about it and commentary. And the Public Service Society, I guess, 14 to 18 increases in salary since we increased.
Yeah, but you can't get none.
That's what I'm saying. And so it was very interesting to see my good friend from Freetown, who's now enjoying a good measure of success. And I tell him one day you'll thank Mr. Christie, they'll have your own private lunch. Good evening, Mr. Diagle. I know he's listening. And that's my Jack. We talk all the time. Too. And so the fact of the matter is, though, he realized it's real talk when he would have gotten in there. And the expectation factor, the demands, voices looking for you every day. You come out of the house, you coming out, you're taking the lunch break, you decide where they're going right, they're going left. Got to be the crowd is sometimes. And I can imagine what my leader goes through daily down with Philip Brave Davis, because Brave is the kind of fellow who's been always helping people all the time, and the expectation factor is there. Yeah. So what is happening is that you need to have a commission look at the same way you have the increases of salaries or the justices in our system, where there's no discussion about it. There's a commission that meets and these things are done. The same thing needs to happen for members of parliament and also across the board in the private sector. But it's going to take collaboration. We'll have to come together as a mature government. That is, the governing side and the opposition coming together and collaborating and saying, look here, it's time now for us to look at the governing process overall. Someone like a Chester Cooper, who has all these transformative suggestions and everything else, our deputy leader, coming together with KP the Turnquest, for example. Who else? Henfield is very progressive in his mindset. Who else I see in that trajectory? I think I can also call a member for Yamacraw, Elsewhere Johnson in that process. He also seems to be outward looking generally. And from the Senate, well, Carl has to be this Attorney General. He has institutional memory and also he understands some things. But it takes people coming together. They have to come together and say, look here, we're going to change the public service across the board. And also by the same token also, if you do not try to upgrade yourself, when I meet people, PLP or FNM in power, who've been in the public service for 20-something, 30-something years, and they're going to tell you they didn't get no raise. I say, why? or they say after all them years, I didn't send my children to school, I need to have 5 BJCs. I mean, who you could blame for that? I mean, this is what you face out there.
Listen. Let me tell you something.
This is real, and so until we do some things, that's why to some degree, our people are afraid of the free movement of people.
Yeah,
because
they know their position.
Will be hard for us to compete in some areas.
Not in some respects. That's what the basic fare is.
Exactly.
And so, because if you can compete, you can't. You don't need to say that.
I'm not afraid about anybody coming in.
Listen,
because I know I can compete.
Listen.
What you going to say, Big? What you going to say, Ed?
I'm saying that one of the reasons why we have a fear is because we're afraid that we are not competitive.
So we can't let Jamaican and Barbados come because we can't compete with them?
That's what I think. There's some innate fear. Okay?
Brother, you what they had to say on national radio?
Yes, that is correct.
But Pipeswell Falls isn't saying it?
I absolutely agree.
I think we have some concerns, but I think we can compete,
I think a lot of behaviors are in a position
Pipeswell
to
Falls. I tell you,
we have to.
Don't be scared to lose that $28,000.
No, we have to.
I put you on the spot, you know. Do not be afraid to lose that $28,000.
We have to do some things differently, and we have to equip our people.
Because
we have
because
to be
guess what,
able to
Pipeswell Forbes?
Yes, we have to compete.
If you are competitive, not only can you compete with them coming in, you can compete when you go out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But we just want to stay in because you know what?
Yeah.
If we don't let no one in, I can get that thing.
Yeah.
Listen, I have a colleague, not a colleague, you have a colleague who has advised me of things. Did you know Rogan Smith? I'd meant to tell you this before. Were you aware that up until recently, a cabinet minister had to pay for his own gas in his car?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that.
Tell me something about how absurd that is. Any person who works and uses their vehicle or a company vehicle, they do not pay for gas.
But you don't pay for the red plates.
Well, we'll have
What?
that discussion.
But you don't pay for gas for the red plates.
Listen to this, Rogan
They
Smith.
should not.
But then,
if they're using their car for work, they should not pay
and guess
for
what, Rogan Smith? The people below them, the PS,
And all that.
They
and all them, they get the gas.
And their
They get
salaries
the
are bigger.
gas.
And their salaries more.
Their salaries are
Okay.
$77,000.
Listen, I'm very clear. Look at how confused Ken is. Let me tell you how clear I am on this. You're a cabinet minister,
so
right?
silly.
Listen to this now. Let's get real. This price will fall to 28,000 gone. Okay, let's be real. We have cabinet ministers who will travel to a conference without an aide. They don't have an aide.
Well,
Now, I do not believe that a cabinet minister. Let's have. We talk about other people respecting our politicians and our executives, right? A cabinet minister shouldn't have to walk up to, and I'm not trying to be elitist or anything, to the front desk to check himself in.
But that comes from what the cabinet decides. I mean, they got to blame the present administration for that. If it's happening now,
that's happened all along.
No. I'm not saying
that's happened all along.
Okay, when I would have been a part of Ministry of Foreign Affairs, when Fred Mitchell was the minister, any minister who traveled that we knew about, they must have an aide. I'm not saying to you, but I know this government announced that they're going to be cutting back on.
On
top of that too, I would not in no way, after considering the fact that what you would go through, you would win a seat, you're serving your people, services first, and
making $60,000.
And then you could tell me I got to go sit in the economy. Man, you got to be talking nonsense. I mean,
you're making $60,000. No, but they now
big
have
guy.
business,
I ain't get settled for that.
No, but they have business class. But what I'm saying
but at least I hear some people talking those kind of nonsense.
No. See, listen.
On the talk shows.
Respect
is due, man.
The position. Put the people in a position so that they're not susceptible to corruption.
That's what it is.
Okay. And show a respect for the office that says when you reach that. Let me tell you something. Rogan Smith and I have said this before. No matter how much disagreement or disdain, I use that word, we may have for politicians, okay? You know what? You ain't doing it.
I have disdain for bad politicians.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. You ain't doing it. You ain't getting. I'm not talking about you and I. I'm talking about in general. The reality is, you ain't doing it. You have not had the courage.
That is a tough job.
Okay?
Incredibly
because even the worst of the worst have the courage to enter that fray.
Yeah.
Okay?
And
all right?
Man.
And let me tell you something.
Glennis Anna Martin,
17,
she always talks about what she had to do.
17 to 3, I ain't doing it.
Yeah.
That's you.
Okay?
It's abuse.
So you look at it's almost pathetic, really, because I don't think that they should be in politics obviously to enrich themselves.
No.
But you should
but
be
that's a-
you should be
comfortable.
in a position to have some modicum of respect
That's the thing.
Yeah.
About
for the position you hold.
There
That's
should
the
be
thing.
some benefit in
Okay.
there.
Some,
Some
but so it leads the door open to so like you said, so many things happen, so many things could happen untoward because the remuneration process.
You're
you're
dealing with $1 million contracts, and you sitting there,
and
and you got to buy gas.
Yeah. No,
make you
I was
resentful.
had a problem with that. A cabinet minister
You got to buy gas.
going in this official car to a state funeral or state recognized funeral or event has to pay for gas to go in
gotta- you gotta-
Imagine you're on the way
You
to
gotta pull up
Independence.
to-
Imagine,
In the car, run out of
imagine
gas.
you're on the way to Independence, and you go and you pull up to the gas. You got an outrider
Yeah.
flag
Yeah, and everything.
and the gas on E, and you got to go. Oh, let me. How much we can
How
put
much
in?
that?
Let me see. I only got 30 on me.
You got to put.
Get,
Yeah.
Put 30.
No, that's real.
Authorize it.
Yeah,
Put 30.
but the red plate gets gas.
Yeah, it's absurd.
Is there a cap for them? I mean, or they
No,
can just fill it up?
when we were at Ministry of Foreign Affairs, when I served as some High Commissioner stroke ambassador, you could have gotten 2 full up for the week. So it's like, but I mean, I had one the Optima, so I never really, but I never took advantage of things that's driving all over the place and all that stuff.
yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, certain courtesies should be extended to people of certain positions.
There's only so much gas.
So much gas.
It's 21 miles. And
Yeah,
there's
you
only
must
so
have
much
to go in
gas.
Nassau, yeah.
I wanted to get him to weigh in because we were talking
Yeah.
before we started the show on this Joe Biden situation.
touchy
The
thing.
touchy
What-
thing.
what time is
We
it
have
now?
like 4 minutes to go.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
You see, you got to
See,
come
time
back.
flew-
You got to
you
come
gotta
back,
come
big
back.
guy.
I enjoyed this, man.
You gotta come back.
All right, so
No, but you
tell-
know the way the world is changing. I don't know. I think the Bahamas is slowly but surely getting there as well.
I think we're moving fast,
You think we're going fast?
Yeah.
I think.
Don't forget, I know 4 minutes. I got caught up in the Leslie Middle debacle some years ago. Don't forget, I was sitting next to him.
You was laughing?
I
You were
sat next to him.
Did you laugh?
Because hey, Leslie, I know. I guess Leslie, you're listening. Big guy. We were in the smoker's room and he made a comment in there. With how women want him to do certain things.
Yeah.
And all the private, everybody's name, you just laughed it off.
Uh-huh.
So then Leslie got up. It was something to do with Women's Week or whatever. And Leslie got up there and said, "Man, these women, they want you to hit it." And then all of a sudden, he said, "Listen,
yeah.
I was on my way to Brussels. I never forgot it. I got the call from someone at one of the competing networks called and said, Faisal, I don't like planes. I'm dead tired. I said, what happened? You got a I said, apologize for what? So you was there in the house, somebody laughing. I said, when everybody's house is done laughing, why are you all picking on me? And I said, and I got hot and after, and they came back home. So and I remember that. So, my thing is, at the end of the day, the whole thing with Joe, I think when I see the Flores lady from California, I think it's say on the back of the hair and all that, and I think you've got to, with the women's movement in America, you've got to be very careful. The world has changed, and you've got to be very careful with it. And you got to be gender sensitive and all these other things and all that stuff.
Are our politicians catching on that
I
is
think
the
we
need?
are. I think we are.
They have the need to do that.
I was in the choice service the other day, and a woman said, "Oh, that's a big old Andros man," and they hug you and they want you. Why you don't hug me? You got to be so careful these days now, because we used to just take it for granted. Frop, the old people say we frop. I'm an island boy. We frop of everybody, I mean, in the family, you can still take the old. You could still frop because of Nezzy and because of Mary them old people, They want frop poist. They want not pice, but they say poist. This their real poist swell, this their real down home, but they want frop me. So if I go there and frop, and I can't go halfway frop in the morning, but if I get a little mash up, my people, they work for me. If I got to frop them wholeheartedly. But in town, if you add them from, you got to be a little more, there's a little more trepidation, because you go into St. Agnes, you touch someone, amazing, amazing love, how can it be that
he feeling it back at home. He ain't been in this environment.
But I see a microphone.
You can't do when you do the chant,
And
sign a peace.
You
gotta
certainly
watch
don't
what
want
you're
to
doing.
demonize men.
Yeah.
You don't want men to feel like, but at the same time, there's still a line to be to be respected.
Well, I think, Mr. Forbes, that we're going to see a reduction in childbirth because we're not touching them anymore.
Well, that's a bad thing.
That's what Jimmy Boy said. He ain't got lunch with no woman no
I come
more.
with my list of appropriate. You don't touch me, period.
Yeah. Will you just stay on that side? And
That's
I stay on
why
that side.
over here.
In fact, you know what?
She does the carnival thing.
There needs to be a certain the wine and
You know
wine.
the carnival
There
thing.
needs to be a measured distance of at least 6 feet.
We're good right here where we are.
No, I'm not comfortable. It need to be 6 feet. I think right now it's 5'8". Push back a little bit.
Where am I?
Push back.
You should go through the wall, man.
I'll be like this.
Yeah. Anyway, but listen, Pikesville Forbes,
fun,
it
man.
has been a pleasurable thing. Yeah. Give it a bump. We can do 5. Okay, give it a bump. But listen, you gotta come back.
Hey,
Man.
continue downtown. I like what I see in downtown. My good friend Ross Pendado's on, and a lot of stuff going this way. I haven't called or whatever. But please continue to fix it up. I like when you go for our Sunday afternoon ride with the family. We can see it. It's a good feeling, man. Continue to fix up downtown.
We're gonna do it. We got it up. Wait till you see our Central Park.
Wow.
We're gonna be ready. We're gonna be ready.
When you're done with that, come south and just man, help me in deep south. It's kind of a little depressed. I need you. Cut some of them bush so the spread wouldn't walk out.
Yeah, but I thought the name Mango Bush or something like that.
Mango Key, man.
Okay.
Mango Bush in Long Island.
All right. All right, my brother.
To see you all Monday.
I enjoyed it.
That was good.